Okay, so we're going to call this part two of our poetry comparison of In Cardigan Market and A Peasant. I was just cut off before because I was done with my 15 minutes. So I think I'm going to have to split these into a couple of different videos. Okay, so I'm just going to pick off from where I was at, which was men come from miles and buy from morn till night. So yeah, the fact that they come from so far, it's what's implied by the distance, how far they come, is that she's a masterly saleswoman. um, the men are prepared to travel like incredibly far distances um, to do business with her through all hours of the day. Again, the time they wouldn't come at any point of the day just to buy fish from her. Um, it sort of goes on to say the traders, the traders know they know how good she is. Um, Daily she sells the princely salmon. Um, Sorry, I've gone there. Like in terms of back to traders know. Yeah, the traders know. The experts, these traders, the other sort of people selling in the market, they acknowledge her level of skill. The fact that a fellow professional knows how good she is emphasizes even more how good she is, how high her skill level is. It's a bit like the fact that Lionel Messi will praise Ronaldo. Makes Cristiano Ronaldo an even better player, really, in the eyes of his fellow professionals and in our eyes, because you've got someone who's already incredible, like at the pretty much at the top, if not at the top of the world game, is arguable, in your opinion. Someone like Lionel Messi, um, that he recognize he I mean he represents quality. The fact he recognizes that Cristiano Ronaldo, you've got to trust him, and if it's vice versa, I'm going to believe Messi or Ronaldo's view of each other compared to Brian down in the local pub just giving his two penneth, his point of view, as he's watching whatever game. So there's that professional respect to emphasize how tremendously effective a salesperson she is. Moving on, okay, she sells the princely salmon, the trout, the vulgar herring, and the vicious eel with ancient eyes. Okay, that's interesting. The princely salmon. And it's the range. She can sell anything from this very sort of highly valued fish, and almost that using that princely salmon puts her in that sort of vocabulary, that language of almost royalty. That it's almost she's surrounded by things of value, that she's almost valued as well as a person, because this almost that the princely salmon she's surrounded herself with. Maybe if you view her a bit like a queen, she's surrounded herself with almost her royal subjects, and her royal subjects are in a weird way are a fish. Um, the vulgar herring and the vicious eel. So these different types of fish that might be more difficult for other fish sellers to sell, she's able to do it. That's how good she is. Um, it says there with ancient eyes. It's interesting there. Is that a link to her, the vicious eel with ancient eyes? As if just like that link between the eel and her, they sort of don't belong in the modern day. They're almost something out of time, almost something that is everlasting. There's like a wisdom to her. There's something that she sees things about the world that other people don't see, because it's almost she's there, but she's always been there, and she will always be there at this market. Okay, moving on. Again, you pick the points you want to, but I'm going over a number of possible things you could say. Lobsters black from the creel, all fresh, all caught before the stars went out. Okay, so where have we got there? All fresh. So yeah, lobsters black from the creel, all fresh. Sort of quality produce that she sort of deals in, isn't it? Again, there's something appealing. This is something where she's relevant, isn't she? This produce is the stuff that people want. It's new. It's inviting, and it makes her inviting by association, or by a fancy word, by association, by juxtaposition. It's almost her wares, the product she's selling, elevates her. It lifts her up. It makes her relevant. It makes her almost that. It makes her a point where people want to engage with her. And think the difference with Iago in a peasant is that he's far more solitary. He lives on his own. People don't come to him because he hasn't got that sort of same product, that sort of appealing product to offer people compared to Auntie Jane Fish, who has, she in herself is an engaging person, and her sales technique is engaging, but also she has products that are engaging. Okay. And it's the range as well. The way this is attractive in the ways they're described compared to, we haven't got that such attractive description of the sheep that that Iago deals with in a peasant. Okay, last couple of things. All caught before the stars went out. It's quite an attractive image, that, isn't it? Um, yeah, it's quite an attractive image, that this idea that, again, that this fish is sort of caught and then passed on to her. She's part of this quite beautiful sort of traditional trade, really. Yeah. All day she squats here. Now, that's an interesting word, isn't it? I mean, when you squat, you dip down low, don't you? I mean, if you're doing squats in the gym, it's one of the most painful things you can do when you do it repeatedly. But she does that, yeah, all day. She squats here. I think how tiring that must be. How much that must take out of someone. And she's not doing it to tone herself up, is she? She's doing it because she has to. It's like a cramped space that she works in. So you could view this a couple of ways, isn't it? It's an awkward, difficult, unpleasant position to be in. Does that suggest how she is sort of tied to this place, but that almost like a gargoyle, sort of crouched and looking out at the sort of setting, that she can't move, she's immovable. Um, the despite the maybe despite the uncomfortable nature of the job, she still does it and seems to love it, which really, a bit like with Iago, his job, we have quite a lot of respect for that. It's quite impressive, isn't it? We could view it in another way. Again, an alternative interpretation is like a squatter, who is not their home, but they stay there. And this is her home, really, that she's there so often, so many hours in the day, that it's become more like her home. She's more a permanent resident of this market and this stall, this fish selling store in the market, than her actual home. Um, okay, and last sort of couple of points, really. Nodding her big head. Yeah. Is that like a sign of, like, just sort of keeping warm, nodding, just trying to keep moving in any way she sort of can? And how uncomfortable that must be. So she's sort of almost fighting with the environment, despite the fact that she is part of it, you know? And very last line, richly alive among the silvery dead. That this idea that she is richly alive among the silvery dead. We've got like this sort of oxymoron there. Now, an oxymoron is a contradiction, because we got this. We put them side by side. She's richly alive, like she's really full of life among the silvery dead. And the silvery dead are almost the color of the fish, isn't it? And the fish around her, they're dead, obviously. Now, the fact that she's richly alive, like if you're rich, it's like wealthy, isn't it? Now, she's not wealthy in terms of material wealth, as in she has actual money. It's more, I would say, go a bit deeper, that she's full of life, she's vibrant, she's full of energy, and the character is such that she's richly alive. She really lives to do the job she's doing, yeah? And there's something really quite admirable about that, in terms of that she belongs here. Despite how difficult it is, despite how uncomfortable it is, as we've been told, despite the fact that she doesn't seem, on appearance, someone that you would instantly think to be drawn towards, you know? And that last phrase, richly alive among the silvery sort of dead, yeah? Again, it's maybe that link with like the stars went out. It's almost quite, there's two ways to look at it, isn't it? It's quite a romantic image in some ways among the silvery dead, that it's quite, in maybe an odd way, it's quite an appealing sort of image. So the idea that the silvery sort of dead, that she's surrounded, almost silvery dead, like, is this her wealth? Like, her wealth is not silver as in money, but this sort of silvery fish. But also maybe you've got that sort of sad, little mournful element, that she's not surrounded, like, after her customers have gone, after they've made their transaction and bought their fish. She's just surrounded by by death. Essentially, the life only exists in her as a person, not in the friendships she's made outside of just her customers. And there's something you could say just a little bit sad about that. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to set up another video actually for the second poem, where I'm going to look to make even more links between the two poems. Okay? Okay, thanks all.